Have you ever thought about teleportation? You know, the idea of stepping into a machine and just poof, appearing on the other side of the planet? Or maybe even on another world entirely? It's the kind of thing we see in movies all the time. But what if that incredible technology came with a catch? A really, really big catch. One that makes us question the very thing we take for granted, what it means to be you. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's the setup. There's a brand new teleporter, and it's ready to send you to Mars. Instantly. No boring, years-long spaceflight. You just step in, press a button, and you're there. It sounds incredible, right? Who wouldn't sign up for that? Well, before you raise your hand, you really need to understand how this thing works. See, here's the thing. There is a catch, and it's a doozy. This machine doesn't actually move you through space, like a car or an airplane. The process is a whole lot more, well, let's just say it's more radical than that. So, here's the four-step process. First, an incredibly powerful scanner records the exact position and state of every single atom in your body, a perfect blueprint. Step 2, and this is the important one, your original body, the one on Earth, is completely vaporized, gone. Step 3, that blueprint, all that information is beamed across space to Mars. And finally, Step 4, a replicator on Mars uses a new batch of atoms to build a body that is a perfect, atom-for-atom copy of you. And this is where the puzzle really begins. The person who wakes up on Mars looks exactly like you. They think they're you. They remember everything you remember right up to the moment of pressing that button. But the question is, are they actually you? Or did you just step into a fancy suicide machine that created a perfect clone on another planet? To even start to tackle a question that heavy, we need to get a bit more precise. We have to figure out what we even mean when we say the same person. Luckily, philosophy gives us some handy tools to think about this.
We've got to make a distinction between two different kinds of sameness. First, you've got qualitative identity. So imagine two brand new billiard balls, fresh off the assembly line. They're exactly alike, right? Perfect copies. But they're still two different balls. That's qualitative identity. Then you've got numerical identity. This is about being one in the same thing. So if you take one of those billiard balls and paint it red, it's changed, but it's still numerically the same ball. It's the very same one. When we ask if the person on Mars is you, we're asking about numerical identity. So what is it? What's the glue that holds your numerical identity together? You're not the same as you were 10 years ago, or even 10 minutes ago. Your cells have changed. Your thoughts are different. So what makes you the same person that you were as a kid?
Well, historically, there have been three main suspects for what this glue is. There's the soul theory. You're some kind of non-physical spirit that just lives in your body. Then there's the body theory. What makes you you is the continuous existence of your physical body. As long as it's an unbroken chain, it's still you. And finally, the psychological theory. What matters is the continuity of your mind, your memories, your personality, your beliefs. With the teleporter, your bodily continuity is definitely broken. But your psychology, that seems to continue. So is that enough? To really put our ideas to the test, we need to crank up the difficulty. Let's look at another thought experiment, a really famous one, called the Fission case. This is where things get weird. Okay, forget the teleporter for a second. Let's imagine that your brain could be split right down the middle into two perfectly healthy, functioning halves. We know people can live perfectly normal lives with just half a brain. Now, what if each of your brain halves was put into a brand new identical body? So after the surgery, two people wake up. We can call them lefty and righty. Here's the kicker. Both of them think they're you. They both have all your memories, your exact personality, all your hopes and dreams. So where are you? Which one is you? Did you survive at all? This is where our ordinary way of thinking just completely falls apart. Because none of the answers make any sense. Let's walk through them. Option 1, you survive as one of them, maybe lefty. But why? Why lefty and not righty? There's absolutely no reason to pick one over the other. It's totally random. Okay, so option 2, you don't survive at all. But that seems even crazier. People survive with half a brain all the time. So how could a process that saves both halves of your brain actually kill you? That doesn't add up. So final option, you survive as both of them. Well, that's just impossible. You are one person. Lefty and righty are two separate people. One cannot equal two. We've hit a wall, a total dead end. Our normal, everyday idea of what it means to be a person, this simple, continuous self, it just can't solve this puzzle.
It leads us straight into a contradiction, no matter which way we turn. We're stuck.
But what if we're stuck for a very simple reason? What if we've been asking the wrong question from the very beginning? This is where a brilliant philosopher comes in and totally changes the game.
The man behind these mind-bending thought experiments is named Derek Parfit. He was a philosopher at the University of Oxford. And back in 1971, he wrote a paper called Personal Identity that completely shook up this whole conversation. Parfit's big move, his genius insight, was to say that our obsession with getting a simple yes or no answer to the question, will it still be me, is the entire problem. He argued that sometimes questions about personal identity just don't have an answer. So instead of talking about identity, Parfit wants us to focus on something he calls psychological continuity. Now, this isn't some single solid thing. Think of it more like a chain. It's this whole web of overlapping connections that links you through time. A memory you have today connects you to yourself yesterday. The intention you formed yesterday connects to the action you're taking right now. It's a continuous, overlapping chain of mental states. And this brings us to his most famous claim. He says, personal identity is not what matters. What matters is survival through psychological continuity. Basically, he's arguing that this strict one-to-one numerical identity, it's just not the thing we should actually care about. What we really care about, what truly matters, is survival. And for Parfit, survival just is the continuation of those psychological chains. So, let's bring this back to the teleporter. According to Parfit, the person on Mars is not numerically identical to you. Your body was destroyed, so that one-to-one relationship is broken. But that person is psychologically continuous with you. They've got all your mental stuff. And for Parfit, that's what counts. That's as good as normal survival. You didn't travel, but you did, in a very real sense, survive. Now, if you accept this idea, the implications are huge. This isn't just about solving sci-fi puzzles anymore. If Parfit's right, this should fundamentally change how we think about our own lives, our futures, and even our deaths. A key part of this is that psychological connection isn't an all-or-nothing deal. It comes in degrees. Think about it. Your psychological connection to the person you were yesterday is incredibly strong, but your connection to the 10-year-old you, it's much weaker. The memories are faded, the beliefs have changed, the chain has stretched. In a very real sense, you are less the same person as that child. Survival isn't a simple yes or no, it's a spectrum. And this way of thinking really changes things. Take self-interest. Should you really sacrifice everything now for your 80-year-old self, a person who will be only weakly connected to the you of today? Parfit suggests maybe it's more rational to care about that future self in the way you might care about a close friend, not as you. It also reframes death. Death is no longer the destruction of some special, enduring self. It's just the end of the chain. The last connection fades, and that's it. Let's just boil this down to one core idea. Identity has to be a one-to-one relationship. You can't be identical to two different people. But survival doesn't have that rule. In the fission case, your psychological continuity, the thing that Parfit says matters, has simply branched into two. So while your identity is gone, your survival has actually been doubled. So this leads us to the final question, and this one is really for you to think about. If Parfit is right, if there is no deep, mysterious fact about who you are beyond these physical and psychological connections, then what should matter? What should you value in your life if it's not about preserving some single unchanging self? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more fascinating videos from Plato's Footnote. Please provide your thoughts and feedback in the comments. Have a great day.